Yo, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we have Hollowknight, we have him Monarch. You know the deal, we are going to be going into some difficult stages and we are going to be checking him out. We are going to be building a team around him. Not going to be like, I don't know if it will be considered the best team for him, but it is a team nonetheless that will help him defeat these stages. I have already done all of the stages, so I can go through the teams that I did pretty much use. They were ever so slightly variations from one another, but we have like the main gist of it all. So the first thing to talk about is actually his sultry. I originally had a honed nail on. I just accidentally had it off because this was from a showcase before, but this is pretty much what we will be using, is a honed nail and void given claw. Except for the Guilty Gears extreme stage, I did use sigil of focus because of the summons. They go the other path that none of the enemies go along, but we'll just keep it this for now, just so I can showcase it like this. But firstly, we have our Hollowknight. He is doing pretty good with his damage, and I am using a 35% damage cat as well. He's at 1.2 million damage already. Now let's go into the team that I did end up using. We end up using a Sukuna. Now I have my familiar on my Monarch Sukuna for now, but during the showcase I did use my marksman Sukuna instead, so don't worry about this being a Monarch. I'm just using him for his familiar for that 30% damage buff that we can get alongside him. Now, the next thing was you can either bring in another buffer, which you can go towards Smith, which I used in one of the stages, and also Armin, I would say, is a pretty good option for him. I personally like using Armin because it makes him 10% cheaper, and also it provides another nuke on the team. If I go ahead and place down our Hollowknight and upgrade him, he's at 1.7 million damage, and then of course with Armin, he can copy that damage there and do a map-wide nuke as well, and then step on bosses and do a bunch more damage that way. I do it in 2 of the stages. I think it is a great use of his ability, perfectly pairing with Hollowknight, who does have a lot of damage himself. Next up, we just look for any sort of stallers. You can use Stark, you can use Weather Report, you can use Priestess. Any sort of stalling in the game is pretty good. Cat seems to be pretty good as well. I have gotten all of the units except for Dot as of me recording this right now, so as soon as I finish recording this and editing this video, I am going to be doing my next batch of showcases, which I'll split off into 2 videos, but I'll record them and edit them back to back, so they'll just get released one after the other very quickly instead of needing to wait like a day or so. But there is that. Yeah, any sort of slows, any sort of stuns, pretty good. We will just bring in Weather Report for this instance because it is a 30% damage multiplier as well with his bubbled effect that will have pretty good, pretty great. The 5th slot on Hollowknight is pretty flexible. You can either bring in a double farm, that being Takaroda and also Speedwagon. If you are in a stage that provides you with a lot of yen from killing enemies, then you can drop Takaroda and bring in another support unit or just another additional damage. You can bring in a Broly, you can bring in whoever would be good on placement. Any sort of supports is nice as well. Any sort of stalls, pretty good. In this instance, let's just place down a Takaroda for now, like as a team slot, because we will do that. So we'll go ahead and bring everyone in. In most instances, we don't really upgrade anyone in our team. Maybe occasionally we will upgrade our nuclear giant, but this is pretty much what the team comp would be like. We have our Hollowknight at 1.74 million damage. It can be higher with other things, but this is generally the gist of it all. If I go ahead and disable the waves and we bring in an enemy, we can see what the effective DPS will be looking like on him. Go ahead and place down a Vegeta. As you can see, his effective DPS currently is at around 400,000. It might ever so slightly vary. There we go, it goes up to 600,000, but it's gonna vary quite a lot on certain things. We have a bubbled on him, and what we can do just to showcase this as well, we can also use Armin's nuke, and we can see how much damage Armin's nuke will be doing alongside using a Hollowknight damage. And then after I do this, let's get straight into going over the stages. But yeah, this is just a team I made up, not really the craziest thing. It would be even better if I did actually use my Monarch Sukuna, but I do end up just using a range or a marksman Sukuna, just so we aren't taken away from Hollowknight's showcase himself in these difficult stages, because we already know that Sukuna is a top tier unit. Pairing these two together is just amazing. They just work really wonderful together. Pretty good clear, pretty good damage for bosses, and all for Hollowknight. Also, I mean, full AoE at his max upgrade is pretty good as well. But as you can see, we are stepping on the boss quite a lot. Let's see how much damage our Armin has done. He's done 20 million damage. That's what his nuke is doing to a singular enemy. Pretty good damage, honestly. But yeah, that is going to be this team setup. It can change quite a lot. You can go with a singular farm and do more supports or more placement damage, yada yada yada. It is a pretty flexible team that you can do. I would say the two staple would be Hollowknight and Sukuna, and then I also personally I think I would always add in Armin as well, and then from there you can probably flex the last two spots with anything you want. So yeah, that is going to be this team. Now onto the first stage, which is going to be Guilty Gear's Extreme stage. All right, starting off with a little bit of post commentary just to mention my first attempt that I did do on this. Now I did slightly adjust the team. I removed Takarota and I put in Priestess for that extra stall, which helps out quite a lot. But the thing that I ended up failing, this is why this is just in here, is that we just were slightly out of money to be able to get him to his max upgrade. So I did ever so slightly adjust the team once again. I replaced my weather report and I put in Armin instead, and that was enough to be able to complete the stage, which let's go into the actual attempt now and go through that. All right, we are going to be doing the Guilty Gear's Extreme stage first. Now, one thing I am going to be swapping around is actually taking off the Void Given Nail, and we are going to be putting on, where are you? The Sigil of Focus, which reduces the cost of the Void spells. The reason why I'm doing this is simply just because of how his summons work. They actually only go to the right side, and since we are using the spawn bug, I guess, to spawn in the enemies only on the left side, that means we're never going to get those summons to actually hit any of these enemies, which suck. That is how we are going to be running it. This is not the first time I've run through this with this team. I have ever so slightly adjusted it. The reason why is because he's kind of expensive, but I will say that this stage is not the greatest when it comes to like running a double farm on, because you are wanting to have as much like damage as possible early to really help out. So we are going to be running Armin for an additional damage buff, plus we get a little bit of cost reduction. So I'll go ahead and place down our Armin, which he places it here. So we'll go ahead and place our Hollowknight here. I'll also place my Orihime on him as well. Hopefully, oh, let's see. Does he even kill a unit in that time? Does he kill that? Okay, he does. He will take out these guys. Perfect. I've wasted time. This is how we are starting this. Kind of scuffed. His range at the start really is not the greatest, which, yeah, I'm not a big fan of. I will say that. Okay, we have that maxed out. All these guys one more time. All right, start working on upgrading him. So one of the big problems that I do have with Hollowknight while we are going through this is that he doesn't have all his damage until most of his damage is locked behind his final upgrade, which kind of sucks compared to like some other units that have their attack gradually as they go. Now we will have a little bit of troubles with this boss, which, let's see, if I set you to first, can you attack this one? Yes. Hit him one more time. Perfect. Now we'll just focus on this boss. Ooh, are we killing this boss before he does leave our range? I will say the other thing is that, yeah, Hollowknight doesn't have the craziest amount of range, so this boss is going to die to our Sukuna, hopefully. If not, then probably one of these summons that do happen, hopefully. There we go. He is dead. Now we move on to the next boss. Set you to bosses. I'm also going to pop Ascending Dark. And as you can see, like from this alone, 600,000 damage all the way up to 1.8 million, but this is locked behind his final thing, which kind of sucks. It really does, but we should be able to get it. There we go. And now it's a full AoE, so we are chilling. Go ahead and replace our Orihime. I'm just going to sell everybody else before they get taken. Okay, others got taken already. Go ahead and sell everybody. Now what we'll do is we will just simply get this boss down. Also place down these Sukunas here. There we go. The boss now has no more armored stacks. What I think I am going to do is I think I'm just going to pop. Do I pop his ability? I actually wonder. Let's see. If he gets to max souls, can I do white nail into his ability? And that'll do, let's see. Boom, boom. Oh my goodness. We nearly did 10 million. Oh my god. We nearly one-shot that boss. Okay. Damn, I didn't realize that. Maybe, I think that works. I think that actually works. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, that is the first stage completed. That was kind of wild, not gonna lie. I I did not expect him to just nuke him like that. But yeah, that is the first stage completed. I did have some difficulties, which I will showcase at the start of me doing these stages, so I'm not just showing you the best results. You can have some difficulties with him, but there we go. There is Guilty Gear's Extreme Stage completed. Okay, so we are on to our next one, which is going to be Attack on Titan's Extreme Stage. Now, this is actually the next day because I realized while editing my video that I didn't have any recording for the Attack on Titan stage that I completed. So we are going to need to do it again, and you might notice something different here. They are actually spawning out of this portal now, so they can go between these two. It's kind of cool, but yeah, not really anything too difficult that has been added to the stage outside of that. First off, begin by farming up, and then hopefully we can place our Hollowknight down pretty soon. Ooh, I don't have enough to place my Armin down and Hollowknight. I'll place Hollowknight down first, and then later on I'll place down Armin on him, but just to start getting kills, I might move him up if that's possible. I think I forgot to change my charms from when I did had to re-record the showcase video, so I'm not using the white nail, I believe. I'm using the other one that gives me 2 times damage, so there is that. I will have not as much damage as I can, but that should be fine. We are just focusing on upgrading all of our farms. Let's see. He should be fine. I don't actually need to follow him, because if he hopefully follows along this path, then what will happen is he will just get hit by the summons, and then the summons can take him out instead, which is quite nice. Just to help a little bit with healing though, let me just place down this. That should be good. We'll see these summons walk into him. Now, I'm praying he doesn't go this way. Okay, he's going straight forward. That's fine. He should die then. Yeah. He should die. Replace you one more time, and that should be that. Let me max upgrade my farm. Now, let me sell off all of the extra units so we can get more damage out of our Hollowknight. Actually, let me place down a Sukuna again. This should be a fairly simple and straightforward stage. We'll see. Last time I did it, the crystals spawned in the same path that my shades were going, so my shades just ended up killing off the crystal. But this time around, I want to see if I can get my Armin's nuke off, because that would be pretty fun to play around with. Get his nuke off, and we can do a bunch of damage that way. All right, let me just place down some of these guys. I'll place down a Sukuna so he can bleed to these guys as well. There we go. I got my full AoE already. Pretty easy. We should clean house now that he's at 1.6 million damage. The other thing that I can do that I just realized is I can also use Shade Strike, which should do quite a lot of damage. We'll see. Let's see what we can do when we do get to wave 15, which we should be at right now. Let's go ahead and sell off these so we can get some more damage on my Hollowknight. He's at 2 million damage. Okay, so where is this crystal spawned? He spawned over here. Let's see if this actually works. I used it. It does not target him. Okay, that kind of sucks. That is fine. What we can do, we do have enough money. Let's go ahead and pop the Armin nuke just to see how much damage we are going to be doing. 2 million damage off the start, and we just walk over. I'll place down some of these guys. Giant crystals down pretty easily. There we go. That is Attack on Titan's stage completed. Very simple with Hollowknight. He's a great unit indeed. Now we move on to the final stage that I'll do. It is going to be a long one, and it's going to be Act 8 of the Anniversary Dungeon. Alright, now we are doing post-commentary on the final stage because it is a very long stage, and I am wanting to speed up the entire thing because the early stages or the early waves are super simple and very easy. We can just skip through all of it. Killed the first boss, killing Gilgamesh, killing Yuhaba, and then we face our first difficult boss, which is Buhan, especially for Hollowknight because he is able to summon, and Buhan has absorption, which makes it so Buhan will heal the amount of HP that the summons do have. So what we do is we destroy our summons by using a Beru Familiar on our Broly. We also apply Rupture with Broly, and then we just use our Hollowknight's nuke to take out the boss to make sure, just so we know that he isn't going to get damaged by any of our summons and heal him. Next up, we go into Gleeful Disorder. Pretty simple boss. We've faced him many times in the Guilty Gear's Extreme stage. We know how to handle him pretty easily, and he goes down like that. Now we go on to the second to last boss, which is the Malformed Giant. He is just a very beefy target. We place down our Broly. We also use the nuke. We get Rupture applied to him. I sell my Broly because I want my summons to be active, and I have have a berry familiar on him, which if you didn't know, with the berry familiar, every single time the unit attacks with berry as a familiar, they consume 5 of your summons on your track. So I make sure to just place them down to apply rupture, and then I sell them so I can continually summon more of our summons to do damage to the bosses. Now this one's just a very slow boss to handle. He is actually the last boss that we do kill. We do end up killing Griffith before we end up killing this boss just because of how beefy he is. Plus I targeted and focused up more on Griffith with this part where we end up using Armin's Nuke. Now you'll notice that I have used Armin's Nuke quite a lot, and I feel like Armin got a huge upscale this update purely because of the amount of base damage these units have. Just makes his Nuke so much better to use. But as you can see, we pretty much have it beaten this stage. It is just a very slow ending. We're just waiting and waiting for this boss to reach our Hollowknight. Yeah, so there we go. That is Act 8 of the Anniversary Dungeon completed. So that has been Hollowknight's hard stages, going through them. Very strong units that we have gotten from this update. So hopefully, I am always praying that we maybe see something in the future that will be a bit more of a challenge. But yeah, that is going to be this video. I appreciate it if you guys have watched this far through the video. See ya.